Which leads me, and you talk about do you want to guarantee or average per year, and there's one particular agent that said you got it, and there's one rookie contract quarterback that is coming up with said agent. Green Bay Packers, let's go to boots on the ground, Ty Schmidt.
Yeah, Lombo. So what will the situation with Jordan Love be? Because obviously you're kind of only dealing with the second half of last year where he played so well because the first half wasn't great. But going into those negotiations, like, will Brian Gutekunst just kind of understand, like, hey, I'm gonna have to fight tooth and nail here because David Mulugeta is representing Jordan Love, and even though it's only a half season worth of tape and like what he did, but where is he going to fall in? Because I just assume with Mulugeta being his agent that he's going to get the top. He's going to set the bar, and then whether Tua goes next or Dak or whoever is going to kind of fall in after that.
Well, I think that's the real issue, right? And so this is the hardest contract to do because this is a little bit like buying on spec, right? It's almost like you're going to build a spec house and you got to sell it. David's going to argue that his players should be paid like the guys that have the money. Whereas the Packers, Russ Ball, who will do the contract, not Good, Russ Ball's going to argue that we'll pay on the come. We'll certainly pay a base level, but we want to see more of this player playing at the level. And they're going to have to find a way to meet in the middle, whether it's through incentives, whether it's through yearly build-up in terms of increasing the salary per year. But to turn around and just say after 8 games, I'm going to give you $55 million a year with 80% of it guaranteed, that's something that I'm sure the Packers don't want to enter into because you've got to look at this. What happens if the 8 games were wrong? What happens if the fourth quarter of the 49er game ends up being the way he played? Look, I think he's played great. But you look at the first half of the season, they were protecting the team from him. In the second half of the season, he was winning games with them. So it's two different things. Remember, they went into New York and lost to Tommy DeVito and turned the ball over.
Well,
so it hasn't been just a rise. There hasn't been just a rise. So there's an argument on both sides. These are the hard contracts to do. The contracts that are easy to do is when there's no argument on one side. Like there's an argument to be made here, and you've got to find a middle ground. And I think they have to. And this is why I think this one will be hard for them to do before the season kicks off. Maybe they can, but that's the one. Whereas the other ones, I mean, I think to me it's going to come down to the Rams saying, yeah, we want to do something with you, Matthew. We definitely want to handle it. Look, Love's going to get paid. It's just how are they going to structure the contract? That's the issue.
What if it came down to just like a 2-year deal? And obviously 4 or 5 year deals are what everybody does, but he's in an interesting situation, not because of his own doing. Obviously, he was drafted in, not because, the Packers are the one that put him in a situation where he was only able to play a little bit of football to prove what his worth was before his contract is up. What if it was like a shorter deal and it was like more, like 2 years, $100 million, $80 million guaranteed, $10 million each year in incentives that you can get up to 100, and then he's a free agent in 2 years from now with no franchise tag, or they can renegotiate that second year and get the long-term deal so they can get better eyes. Would that be a thought, or there's no way Mulugeta lets that happen?
Well, it's to me, it's when you're guaranteeing money, you want years. So time equals money in all negotiations. So the more guarantee I give you, the more years I want back. And so if you're asking me to guarantee 80% of the deal and I'm only getting 2 years, why am I doing that? I mean, if I do a 2-year contract, I really don't, and I'm Jordan Love, you don't need to guarantee anything in writing because I'm going to earn it all. So that's what David's going to argue. You're not going to cut him after a year. He's too good of a player. So why won't you just guarantee everything? Okay, that makes sense. But now I've guaranteed, I only got 2 years on these guarantees. Let me have more years. And then you're talking about high cap numbers. Now we're talking about percentage of the cap going way up because we're only doing a 2-year contract. So it's a challenge. And I think Green Bay's smart enough to figure it out. Russ Ball's done a lot of contracts in his career. They've got the cap room. They certainly have the cash to pay this thing out. And I think that ultimately they'll do that.
Hey,
but they got to figure out what the right number is.
Lombo, no matter what the number is and how they figure it out, how about these sons of bitches figuring it out again at quarterback? How about it?
It's amazing, right?
Isn't it?
I mean, like this throw he makes here against cover 2 where he reads it, it wasn't even like he didn't see it. He moved his feet. Watch him move his feet to the side to get away from the penetration and throw the ball. I mean, that's a rare thing to do. So his eye level's down, and then he throws the ball down the field, eye level down to eye level up, which is hard to see in players when you watch them. So, yeah, look, and I think you got to give credit to Matt LaFleur in the sense that he figured out what he needed to do. Now, I think the interesting thing about the Packers this year is they replaced Aaron Jones with Josh Jacobs. How is that actually going to work? I thought Aaron Jones was really a key to what they did the second half of the season. And you're going to get more of this stuff where he's going to run around like this. Now Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, I think that's the key hire. We don't talk enough about that. Who they hired as some of these assistant coaches are going to make a big difference for some of these teams as well.
Oh, yeah, you talk about new defense coordinator there. I completely forgotten. We don't talk about him as we pivot away from the Green Bay Packers, who certainly have a lot of decisions have to be made, and they seemingly get them right all the time. So, good. Hey, congrats over there. Now, Super Bowl, right, is what you're going to be judged against it all, but, phenomenal. And there's a lot of people, including myself, that were like, this is so stupid. Why are we doing it? Let's win the Super Bowl. We're here. We're at the NFC Championship. Let's win. How often do you get here? You don't get here, let's go ahead and win. And then they're like, let's prepare for 4 years from now. And we, obviously, in a day show, stupid idiots. These guys are stupid idiots. This is so dumb. And then now we're sitting here, well, how much money are they going to give the next guy that they prepared for 3.5 years to take over behind one of the greatest of all time in the whole entire sport, best ball thrower in the history of sport? It's wild. Congrats to them.